you overcame that fear. Um, how did you do that? I mean, that is a big deal to leave your job making 150K.
Yeah.
Were you the sole breadwinner in your family?
So my wife also worked, but we also had a kid. My son was 3 years old at the time,
Yeah.
and health insurance, all the things that we all like to call the golden handcuffs, truly are golden handcuffs. But the biggest one is the insurance. That health
Yes.
insurance,
Health
man, it is
insurance is expensive.
scary. It
Yeah.
is scary expensive when you're on your own, and certainly one of the biggest preventers from folks to go out
Mm.
on their own. But yeah, absolutely, a very scary leap.
So how did you overcome that fear? What did you think? You thought about withdrawing your resignation, and I'm sure the firm would have taken you back.
Yeah.
What kept you
Um,
going?
Two things. The primary thing that kept me going was my very, very firm belief in never going back on an offer. So never reneging your notice. So, I've seen this happen time and time again when people across the 7 firms I've been at would give notice, the firm would convince them to stay or whatever it is, and then they would stay. And then when they would stay and they would kind of come back, it was miserable. It was extra miserable because the firm was kind of like, hey, we own you, and whatever it was. So that was one aspect. I didn't want to do that. I didn't necessarily want to just tuck my tail and come back.
Yeah, it's generally
And the
considered a bad idea. Like if
It
you
is.
like it's
It is.
don't
Yeah,
yeah, accepting the counteroffer to stay, most of the time it
exactly.
doesn't work out. You end up leaving anyway later.
Exactly. And I've seen it
Yeah.
happen time and time again. In exactly that position, you ended up, leaving anyway when much more unhappy than the first time around. You're better off leaving, going to wherever you were going to go, and then possibly coming back down the line rather than reneging on the spot. And plus, you burn the bridge with the other person. Anyway, I digress. But the other piece of it was I knew that I want to give it a go. And I knew that I had that marketable skill of, at the time, again, 12 years, public accounting, a manager, experience with people making 180, $100 million a year in income, all that. I knew I could be marketable somewhere. So I started reaching out. I started reaching out on LinkedIn. I started reaching out to friends, and I got like a part-time gig, basically, as a contractor in the city in Manhattan. I took the bus basically 2 or 3 times a week to go over there and helped out working on smaller tax returns. I enjoyed that, but the commute was a little bit killer, going to get the kid from daycare, coordinating all that. So then I found another contracting role with a firm here in New Jersey, also 2 to 3 days a week. And since then, again, not intentional, but since then, that has been my advice to anybody that's looking to go out on their own, which is try to find a contracting gig because those 2 to 3 days will keep the lights on while you build your firm the way you want to with the other 3 or 2 days.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. And then you transition. You gradually build up your own book of business. You get comfortable. You
Yep.
feel confident, and then, well, now you've got your own firm. You don't have to
Yep.
do that contracting anymore. How long did that process take to get from full time employment to full time owner of your own firm?
Yeah. Without contracting,
Right.
I would say about a year and a half.
Okay,
Yeah, a
that's not
year to a
bad.
year and a half. No,
Yeah.
and I could have ended it beforehand, the contracting role, and eased off. But I was just helping them out. We were helping each other out. It was kind of a good relationship. I was working with some good people at that place. So I figured, what, let's keep it going. It was probably giving me between four in the off seasons, 4,000 a month. In the busy season, it was $8,000 to $9,000 a month. So I mean, again, to the point of before, and you can control that yourself, right? You want to work a little more, you want to work a little less. It's truly flexible in that regard. And as you're building your own firm in the way that you want, it allows you to focus on what the dream firm that you want for yourself to be, instead of what I'm sure we're going to jump into later, instead of taking any and everything at whatever somebody's willing to pay you. And that to me is important.